Hey guys, it's Jen and I'm back with another process video using the Felicity Jane Feels Like Home kit from September. This kit's colors just are amazing. I love them. As soon as I saw the kit, I knew I had some photos that would match it perfectly. We had some family photos done in December and the colors that we wore just look really great with it. So there's a bit of yellow and a bit of that kind of rusty red. And so I thought it would look really nice. And plus we're standing, in these particular photos, we're standing up against a dark wood background. I cut out that word family on some white cardstock from my Silhouette Cameo. And that is, Felicity Jane is in the Silhouette online store now. And so that's one of the cut files from Felicity Jane. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with this layout, but I knew I wanted to use that word family, and it kind of perfectly framed that top photo, but I lost the word family against the white background. So I moved that strip of paper up above it so that it can rest on that wood grain. And then I get a shot of that dark wood without overpowering the rest of the layout. I don't want it to feel too heavy and dark because, like I said, the photos are pretty heavy as well. I'm looking through some of the cut aparts to see what else I might want to include. And I did also put a piece of that polka dot paper it's kind of like a really light pink with that red color polka dot, and it's just the back of the wood grain. So I just ripped them using my ruler. I'm just seriously going through the kit and pulling out everything that I might want to use. And the story behind this particular layout is that I'm going to tell is the fact that this is my husband's family, and they are some of my best friends, and I tell people all the time how lucky I am to have his family for in-laws, because I know a lot of people don't get along with their in-laws, but we're best friends, and I love that. So that's the story that I'm going to tell. And there's a silly photo on the top of my husband and his siblings with their parents, and then the bottom one is all of the siblings, including the married people. So I'm using some of the cut aparts to kind of put behind my photos. I wasn't sure. I knew I wanted to put something by and around the photos, but I wasn't sure what. So I cut that card that says 1, 2, 3, which I thought was good because when you're taking a photo, sometimes they say 1, 2, 3, cheese or whatever, and they were making those silly faces. And so I thought that was kind of just a nice little nod to that. I'm just going to go ahead and commit to that paper at the top. And I'm thinking I might want to put some tabs along the top. So I'm just kind of playing around with that and seeing how I might want to do that. And I'm just going to immediately start working on that. I'm easily distracted. So even though I was just going to lay down those 2 strips of paper and then get working on the rest of the layout, I just decided to move to the tabs because I'm ADD or something. I don't know. But I'm looking for some ink a color that's kind of that teal or dark green color. And I found this really old Adirondack ink pad that I had, and the color is called Bottle, and it's just perfect. It's kind of that dark greenish blue, and I love it. And I just stamped my people on that white tab. And the stamps this time are just so cute. I used 2 on this layout, but I intend to use a lot more of those in coming layouts. So I'm just kind of playing around with how I might want that title to look. I'm going to commit to my photos, and of course I ran out of my adhesive, so I'm just going to change that really quickly. And like I said, I'm going to position the word family so that it kind of frames that top photo. So the F and the Y are hanging down onto the photo, but it won't be covering anybody's faces. And originally I had planned to kind of make the photos overlap and be a little bit skewed, but since the top one's straight, I'll eventually end up straightening out the bottom one because it just looks a little bit weird. So I'm taking great care with the letters to make it so that the open parts of the F don't cross over the photo and onto the white. I don't want a line going down the middle of that loop. And so I just made sure that it overlapped it in a way that it had the photo filling that whole loop, if that makes sense. And I used my Scotch Quick Dry adhesive in a fine line bottle to adhere that. I am just putting I'm committing to that card. I cut it in half so I could have a little bit on each side of that little cut apart card. And now I'm just going to play around with some of the other cut aparts and see what I might want to add. I've got that good times resting there at the top. That's just kind of a little banner-ish looking piece. I really wanted to do feels like home with one of those little house stickers, but the puffy stickers that are from crepe paper, but I'll move it around a lot and I'll bring it back again and again, but it doesn't end up making it. And so I'm just kind of playing around with how I might be able to add that. And so now I'm trying to decide if the photo being not straight is going to bother me. And I'm going to let that sink into my mind a bit. The other thing I wanted to do was use these strips that say brother, sister, and then I really wanted to use the one that says best friend, because that's really what the story is about, how we're best friends. So I kind of like the way that's looking from here, but it felt off to me when I was creating the layout, so I decided against it. And I'm going to move things around quite a lot on this layout to decide how I want to balance it all out. And that's something I'm going to struggle with a little bit. I think in the end it all works out. I am pulling in some of those flare buttons. I like the one that says cheese because they're photos, and these were like, professional photos, and so it just seemed appropriate. And I'm still playing around with the idea of using that house. Here's where I decide that I think I want the photo to be straight because it just seems weird. I don't know I think my whole layout might be a little bit crooked, but I'm not going to worry about it anymore. So I used another one of those cut apart sheets, and I'm bringing in some of that pretty floral pattern, and I knew I wanted to bring that pattern in again somewhere because it's up in that tab at the top right. And so I'm just adding this here, and I'm making the layers not completely in line with each other. I don't want it to look perfect. I don't want it to look like just a straight line. I want it to be a little bit off, and so it doesn't go all the way to the bottom of the photo, and it goes a little bit past that green striped paper as well. So here I come back with those little strips of paper, and I'm thinking I'm going to add those up here. And I'm going to pull out some of that gold thread that we got on a little spool. It's not a ton that we got, but it's just enough to do a few little fun things. And so I'm going to kind of make a little nest of thread and put it behind that flare that says cheese at the top right, or left, sorry. I am pulling up another strip of this paper to see if I want to add it at the bottom. I felt like it was unfinished, and I don't know that the polka dot was the right way to go, so I decided to add in just a little bit of that wood grain. And I really like how that brings a little bit of weight to the bottom, because I did make it a really top heavy layout by placing that bar across the top with the heavy wood grain. I'm going to stamp on that red piece, and it says "Today We Smile." And I knew I wanted to bring some red down there just so I could get a balance of color, because there's a bunch at the top and there's a little hint of it at the left, and so I wanted to add a little bit here as well. I stamped the date with my Chamel roller date stamp and that bottle ink again. I stamped "Today We Smile" in black ink from Close to My Heart. And here I am cutting out a dot for my eye because I lost mine. I always do that. It's okay. I thought I might put like a heart or something in place of the dot of the eye, but I decided I just wanted the dot. So I'm using this ink from Prima, and it's a yellow ink. It's called Colt's Foot Stamens, and I'm coloring some of the hearts, and I'm going to sprinkle those around here in a little bit. So here I'm committing to these strips at the left, and these are adhesive backed little strips, so I'm just taking off the adhesive and laying those down. I decided to right justify them, so they're all butted up against that card that says 1, 2, 3. And here's where I'm going to make my little nest of thread. I'm just wrapping it around my fingers and smushing it, and then I'm using some Ranger Multi-Matte Medium, and I have that in a fine line bottle, and that's the 20 or the 18 gauge. It has a little bit of a bigger opening for the for the hole on that one. And I haven't had mine get clogged. I've heard people say that theirs has gotten clogged, but I haven't had that problem. So with my matte medium, I'm putting a little bit more of that thread down at the bottom, and I'm kind of establishing my areas of embellishment. And I'm going to place that little die cut in the center of my photos there and let that thread overlap it a bit so it looks like it belongs together. When you overlap elements on your layout, it really makes them feel like they belong together rather than you placed a bunch of random elements on the page. So I decided to switch that little tab at the top to a little crazy because of the photo at the top. They're making funny faces and stuff. And I'm going to add a little bit more of that gold thread up at the top there. And this gold thread is a little bit, regular thread is much easier to make a nest out of than this gold thread because it's coated with kind of a slick surface, and so it's a little bit tricky. But if you just hold it down and get that glue under there, it works fine. So here I'm just coloring some more of those little hearts, and I'm going to glue those down. I decided to glue one immediately up there at the top so that I could make it hold down that thread. And I'll sprinkle these around in the different clusters. And I decide to add the word hello, it's from the puffy stickers, above the word family. And I really like that it brings that pop of yellow up there. And because I'll be dotting that yellow around the page with the hearts, I really wanted to bring that yellow up to the top as well, or to that little spot. I don't know. I guess I didn't probably really need it, but I wanted it, so I did it. I'm just going to place a few of these hearts in each cluster. And I like that we got a big variety of sizes this time. There's a bunch of them. So I'm just placing a couple here and there. And I'm adding a little bit more adhesive to that little cheese flare. At this point, I'm gluing things down, but I'm also noticing that I have that black brother, that word that says brother, on that black piece of that little sticker there, and I'm noticing that it's a little unbalanced, and so I'm recognizing that and feeling like I need to add in a bit more black somewhere else. So I'm thinking about that. And I think right now is where I'm looking for something. So I found this little circle that has stars on it, and I'm going to place it to the right of the photo. So I usually make 3 areas of embellishment, but this time I'm making 4. One of them is really small, and that's this one that I'm adding right now. And I only added that one because I felt like I needed a little bit more of the heaviness of that black. And I do have black in other areas where I've stamped and where I'm doing my journaling now, but it's not as heavy, and I needed something heavy like the word brother. So I'm just using my Muji pen to do my journaling, and I'm just writing what I told you before about how I have the best family and I feel blessed to call them best friends and all of that. And I write super, super crooked, but that's okay. I'm over my crooked writing. I can't write straight for the life of me. And I am just placing that black piece down and the flare, and then I will make another little nest of thread, but not before I look for something else to add into that cluster. So I'm looking through all of the die cuts, and then I'll finally decide on some more of that gold thread. And that's really going to complete the layout this time. I hope that you've enjoyed watching, and if you want to check these kits out, be sure to check out felicityjane.com. I am always so thrilled to get these kits, and they're so fun, and the stamp sets are amazing. That's my favorite part of the kits. So be sure to check that out, and I will link to all of the products that I've used below, as well as over on my blog, but probably not until tomorrow. So if you're watching this on Tuesday, I probably won't have those links up or the blog post up until tomorrow, just because I've gotten a little bit behind today. So I have still photos coming up at the end, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and thanks to all my new subscribers. I really appreciate all of your support. We'll see you soon.